That's better. Well, good morning, everyone. So apparently, I was streaming on the wrong page a minute ago, so that's why I'm a few minutes late. I was streaming on the admin account, but we're here now. Better late than never. So we are with our giraffes at the moment this morning. I was going to do a stream from outside, but the weather isn't quite as nice today, so we are going to be doing indoors instead, especially from the walkway out there. It was quite windy. I don't think you would have been able to hear half of what I was saying. And then, especially from the other side of the camera with Matt up here, I think you probably wouldn't have heard a single word. So we are indoors instead. So we are going to have a little chat with Matt. He's going to talk to us about these two guys, who hopefully might come over to us. And then we'll see whether we can do anything with the blesbok, but he's unlikely to come in. He's out there somewhere. So, morning, Matt.
Hi guys, hope everyone had a good weekend. So I'm really pleased to boast to you that Wingham now has giraffes. I'm very happy. As you can see, Robin and Ruedi over there. Ruedi is the one nearest to the camera, or the taller one I should say, probably be a bit easier, which is on the right hand side, and then Robin is on the left hand side. He's a little bit shorter. So first of all, you're probably going to ask or wondering how I can tell them apart. Ruedi has got slightly darker patches on him. As I said, he is slightly taller as well, and Robin is shorter with not so dark patches. And believe it or not, they are only a day apart on their birthdays, so they'll both be 3 in June. So yeah, it's quite interesting that they're only 1 day apart, and you can see there is quite an obvious size difference in them. Obviously, one has been eating a little bit more over the years than the other to get a little bit quicker growth on them. So giraffes really fascinate me because they're just magnificent, beautiful animals, and there's lots of different adaptation and features that they have. So if you look at the top of their head, they've got two horns, which are called ossicones. And they are sort of calcium deposits that build up, and they use it for protection. So when the males fight with each other and swing their necks at each other, you may have seen the David Attenborough documentary, they sort of do the damage, they inflict the damage to each other, and then obviously the females will use it to protect sort of themselves and their babies as well, their calves I should say as well. So these guys are Rothschild giraffes. You get sort of 9 different subspecies of giraffes, and as I said, these are the Rothschild ones. So hopefully everybody knows where giraffes are from in the wild. If you don't, they are from Africa, and then the Rothschild giraffes are found in Uganda and Kenya and Sudan as well. And as I said, they're one of 9 subspecies. Now recently, I should say, there has been sort of debate whether there are 4 or whether there are 9 types of giraffe. I'm going to go with that there's 9 today, and if anybody can name all of those 9, you should give yourself a pat on the back, because that is fairly impressive. I've been testing all of my keepers to ask them whether they can name them all, and so far eventually they've named them all, but if you can, then that's pretty impressive as well. So again, looking at the giraffes here, you coming over? So Robin is coming over, there's a good lad. Come on in, got a little bit of browse here. Come on. Just inquisitive of the camera. we get them over eventually. Come on. So yeah, if you look at their heads, you can see they've got fairly big ears on them. Because giraffes are quite tall, obviously they need to have good hearing because they are quite far away from the ground. So obviously they've got to hear things approaching to them. When we come in here every day, we obviously say good morning to them and make sure that they know that we're in the building, because they are quite a skittish, spooky sort of animal, especially if they don't know that you are not there. So it is really important that we talk to them, not only just to build up a bond with them, but as I said as well, not to scare them, because when they bolt, they can bolt fairly fast. Top speeds for giraffe can be about 35 miles an hour. That's over short distance, and then they can sort of prolong 10 miles an hour for slightly longer distances.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's sending those stars over. Really, really appreciated. I'll go back through and thank you all individually afterwards. I don't want to interrupt Matt too much, but also once Matt's finished his talk, I will go back through and get all those questions over to him. So keep asking your questions, and I'll go back through those in a minute and catch up with those. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, so that will be the ears, and then you can see they've got quite a long face on them, and some of you people may be having jokes at home, why the long face, etc, etc, ha ha ha. But a giraffe has a very long tongue, so obviously that tongue has got to hide somewhere. Oh, Ruedi's showed the tip of his tongue. I thought he was going to put all of his tongue out there. So it's about 18 inches in length, and it is like a purpley black colour. Theories and suggestions for the colour is to stop it getting sunburn. Now, giraffes spend probably about 20 hours of the day feeding, and obviously that means that their tongue is out quite a lot, and being from quite a warm place, it would get sunburned. So it does make sense, so that's the reason for the colour. The reason why it is so long is because they like to strip the bark and rip off the leaves. I don't know if you can see the browse that has been hung up. You can see that the bark that they can get to has been stripped off and there are no leaves on it at all. So if I hold up this bit of tree in front of you, you may be able to see the leaves and the bark, and then this is what happens to it after, or overnight I should say. So you can see they go to town on it, so you can see the difference. So that is down to their tongue, shredding and stripping that all off. In the wild they'll be eating lots of acacia, that's their favourite sort of tree. Obviously over here we don't have acacia trees, we do have lots of other trees that are safe. The thing that's on top of the menu at the moment is willow. Willow's a very good tree for most animals really that eats browse. It's quite fast growing. As long as you look after it, it will continue to grow year on year. So yeah, these guys are enjoying lots of willow at the moment. We do have other species of trees that we do feed out, but at the moment they're not quite full of leaves yet. They're sort of younger leaves and small buds on them, but the willow is what we're giving them at the moment.
So Sue has just pointed out, it's well spotted. Ruedi's got a lovely little love heart at the top of his leg.
He has.
Well spotted.
Very well spotted. I like that. So, we won't go to the legs just yet. We will stay on the neck. So you can see it's quite a long neck. It does have the same amount of birth breaks as what we do, so that's 7. So they're similar to us, and people would think that they've got a lot more muscles and stuff like that in there, but it is the same as what we have. And they need a nice long neck to get higher up leaves in the tree. Males can get up to sort of 5.8 metres, and the female giraffes will be about 4.5. So generally the males are a lot bigger than female giraffes. Obviously these two are boys, and as I said, they are going to turn 3 in June, so they've still got a little bit of growing to do. They will grow till they're about 4 years old height wise, and then they will get a bit chunkier till they're about 8. So they come sort of sexually mature about 4-5 years old. So as far as I'm aware, and Marcus probably will back me up on that, is that we've got a bachelor herd here, and these are a part of the stud book. So at the moment there are no plans to have babies. Obviously we've got 2 boys here, so it would be a miracle for that stuff to happen. But yeah, at this moment in time, it's we've got these. So they're going to get a little bit bigger. In terms of how high they are, we haven't got our height chart up yet, so I can't give you an exact measurement, but I would say Ruedi is probably at least 5 metres, and then Robin is probably just under 5, maybe even getting close to 5. I don't know if you know the exact measurement.
No.
But I'll get my ruler out when I have time. And, have a look at it.
I think we might need to go to some questions.
Yeah, go.
Because we got lots. So this might take me a little while to catch up. So do bear with us while we go through these. So again, a huge thank you to everyone who's been sending these stars out. I really appreciate that. All goes to us and goes towards the animals. So they are both coming up to 3 years old. And we've had them
Since 25th March.
Since the 25th of March. So we've got Ruedi on the left there and Robin on the right. So their personalities. I'll let Matt elaborate a bit more, but I will tell you that when they were at Woburn Safari Park, which is where they were born, Ruedi was the most dominant one and Robin the more submissive. But when they first arrived here, they'd actually swapped over, and Robin was certainly the more sort of adventurous and dominant one of the two. I don't know if they've gone back now, have they? Because someone wants to know what their personalities differ like.
So Robin will always make the first move, and then Ruedi follows him.
Yeah.
However, in the last couple of days, Ruedi's come out of his shell a little bit more and is kind of making the first move sometimes. So that's encouraging to see, because it would be nice to get them over and sort of health check them a little bit closer as well. Just because a giraffe is not an animal that you can necessarily stroke. They don't like to be stroked. If you were watching the Red Panda talk yesterday, they don't purr, roll over, stuff like that. These guys don't really appreciate a tickle under the chin as well. Not like the tapirs. Again, if you watched the tapir talk the other day with me, you'd have seen Nando as being a big softie, and yeah, was nearly falling asleep in my arms because of it. These guys, yeah. So yeah, they're coming out their shell a little bit more. They've not been here for a great deal of time, so it is us getting used to them, them getting used to us. But yeah, at the moment it is definitely Robin that is the sort of the one that's making the first moves, and Ruedi's following.
And how old do they get, and how tall could they get?
So they can live up to 25, and then I think the tallest male giraffe has been recorded at I think it's 5.8, if not 6, and I think that was a Maasai giraffe, so another subspecies. But yeah, the males will get up to 6 metres, and then the females will sort of be about 4.5.
So at the moment we're still working on the sort of finer details of doing a feeding experience with them. It would be nice if we can let you feed them. So that is something that we're working on. But obviously where they're still new with us, we're still working out on exactly how that's going to work out and get them used to us. So that sort of comes first, and then we'll see what happens with that. So we are hopefully getting 2 more. They're not likely to come from Woburn. So we are still working out those final details. That is all done by the stud bookkeeper. But at the moment, with everything going on, there's not that many animals being moved around. So it's probably going to wait a little while. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen. So we're not going to, as Matt said earlier, we're not currently planning on breeding them. We're just going to have a bachelor group here. So yes, they do have teeth. How many teeth have they got, Matt?
That's a very good question. I actually don't know that, I'll be honest with you. They've got more, they don't have that many teeth actually, but as I said to you earlier, because what they do is they've got a hard palate. So they've got front teeth, but it's not, they're not like our teeth, if that makes sense. What happens is they kind of strip the bark and then they put it to the back, then they chew it down. So they've got quite like a, how to explain it, a hard palate at the top that they pull and they rip. But the exact number, I'll have to find that out for you.
Yeah, I'll check that as well later. The browse that they leave, do we use it anywhere else? Sometimes we might use a little bit of it as perching for the birds, but it doesn't always all get used because they get through a lot. But they get through more than what we can use for any of the other animals, to be honest. Hi, Kelly and Josh. How long are their tongues?
18 inches.
18 inches. Yeah, so they do stand up when they sleep. It has been recorded a few times in captivity that in captivity they don't lay down, but they do sort of get down on the ground, so it does rest their legs. Because they don't have any predators to worry about in captivity, I don't think it gets... it's ever been recorded in the wild. But in captivity they have been known to. But even when they're down on the ground, their head and neck still stays up. So they don't, as far as I know, they never lay down with their neck down as well.
And they don't sleep for more than 5 minutes at a time as well. So they only sleep for about 4 hours of the day, but they will take that at 5-minute intervals.
So with the giraffes, all their spots and things are all different. So we don't know how many spots they got. Unless you count, have you, Matt?
Again, I will get back to you. But yeah, no, every giraffe has a unique pattern. It is like a fingerprint. So I don't think there is a number for spots. Especially from my research, I've never found that. So yeah, I don't think there is a number that you can put on it.
How many giraffes did you say people... the message is gone. Someone named 8 of the giraffe.
Okay.
I was going to double check it, but the message is gone now. I thought it keeps all the messages, but they disappear after a while. So let's see what else we got. So our giraffes came from Woburn Safari Park. Beautiful park up there. They've got a really nice herd of giraffes. I think it's the biggest herd in the country. Or certainly was before we had these 2 guys. So they are related. They are half brothers. So they've got the same dad. 2 different mums. They were born a day apart from one another. So they're still young. So they've still got growing to do. So they won't stay that small. So I'm still just trying to catch up. So happy birthday to Chloe and Jack. Oh, both.
Good boy, really. anybody that's watching, you can see Rudi's chewing at the moment. It's actually ruminating. So what happens is that he will eat the food, but he will spit it back up and chew it much to like a cow would, chewing the cud, and that's to get as much nutrients and goodness from the food as possible, because they've got 4 stomachs. So yeah, it's to maximise the nutrition in their food.
So we've got Hi Fred, who's age 3, and then Orla. So that leads on to a nice question from Orla, which is, what do they eat? I think you got some food from up here for you, have you?
Yeah, so in terms of the food that we would give them, so in their bucket is some linseed pellet and some browser pellet. It's full of vitamins, minerals, all goodness that keeps giraffe nice, fit and healthy. So we give that to them twice a day. And in the bag here I've got some lucerne, which is like a hay, but it's a little bit different, and again that's full of goodness for them, and then obviously the browse that they eat as well.
Cool.
That's what we give them here.
So we've got a little lesson for you, 32 teeth.
Thank you very much.
Apparently they don't have molars, which I think you said they've got. Yeah, they've only got their.
They're very different dental structure to other animals.
Yeah. So in a typical bachelor herd, so in the wild you don't usually have sort of big bachelor herds. That's more of just a captive thing. But I think you can have them sort of pretty much any sort of size. As long as there's no girls about, the bachelor groups work fairly well. They don't really have much to fight about. So they work all right. So we're hoping to have 4 here eventually. So there's no particular meaning behind their names, but I do know that at Woburn, all the animals which are born in a certain year will have a name that starts with the same letter. So hence why they're Robin and Ruedi. So that year was all the names were starting with R. So any ones that would have been born the year later would have been starting with S. So hi Helen and Sarah. Why are they so still? That's just what they do.
Yeah, so
they're not the most active animals.
They're ruminating at the moment, as I said earlier. So what they will do is they will, once they've stopped eating, they will stand still, and they're still eating, if that makes sense, because they're putting food back up from one of the stomachs, chewing it back, and then swallowing it again. So hence why they spend a lot of time eating, and that's called ruminating.
So hi to Helen and Sarah. So their enrichment, most of their enrichment at the moment is still coming from getting used to their routine, getting used to their enclosure. They're still exploring a lot. We're giving them lots of different food items to try. So especially with the silage, we're giving them different types every day to see which bits they like and which bits they don't like. And then we do have a few toys for them as well. So we've got some enrichment toys which I don't think we've had to use very much for them yet, because like I said, most of the enrichment they're still sort of doing for themselves, and then we're getting them used to different people, we're doing training with them, so there's plenty going on anyway in their lives at the moment to keep them occupied. So yeah, so they have got fairly good hearing because of those big ears, as Matt said earlier. Do you know why there's no spots at the bottom of their legs?
Oh, that's a very good question as well. So Rothschild giraffes have a sock, a white sock, and that is an easy way to tell whether they are a Rothschild or not, because that is a look that a Rothschild giraffe has. So if you look at a reticulated giraffe or any other giraffes that other parks may have, an easy way to say whether it's a Rothschild is by looking at to see whether it's got a pair or four socks or 2 pairs of white socks on.
And how fast did you say earlier they can run?
So these guys, over short distances, 35 miles an hour, and then long distance, sort of 10 miles an hour, they can keep that speed up to.
And I think they get fed, is it twice a day or 3 times a day here?
So they get fed twice a day.
Twice, yeah. And then we have access to the lucerne and the browse all day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're pellets and things they get twice a day, and then everything else they have access to whenever they want. So Ruedi was born first, he's a day older. I've not heard of twin giraffes, so I'm guessing it is very rare. And just like anything it is, I'm guessing it's possible. But because they are such big animals, especially at birth, they're already, what are they, 6 foot tall, thereabout? So if you imagine if you had 2 babies in there at that sort of size, I'm guessing it wouldn't sort of work all that well. I don't know if they would, if they'd even have the room to grow properly. So yeah, so I've not heard, well, I've not seen twin giraffes before. Already just answered that. So yeah, so of course we are struggling at the moment. We are getting a lot of help from you guys, which is absolutely brilliant. So a lot of people are sending in things from the Amazon wish list, which is a huge help, because obviously even though it's not money in the account as such, it's saving us money. So when we're getting food in or cleaning supplies, it's all a huge help, and we appreciate every single thing we get, every single item. So it's always really exciting when the delivery vans arrive at the moment. I think the other day we had a delivery turn up that was pretty much full up with hay, so that was an interesting delivery for him to make. And then we are getting financial donations as well, so we really appreciate every single penny we get from you guys, because at the moment obviously we're not open, and the park costs us about £56,000 a week to run. So obviously if you imagine that we've got no money coming in, our sort of emergency funds pot gets significantly smaller every single day. I read up about their sleep a while ago, and I believe that I think they do go into REM sleep, but it's very short. So I couldn't stop saying very then. I don't know what happened there. Got stuck in a loop. I just found out they have 2 hearts. I think they only had 1 heart. I think they've just got the 1. I know it's huge.
It's 11 kilograms. But yeah, it's 1 heart.
Oh, that's the next question there. So 11 kilos their heart is a massive. I think it's one of the biggest hearts of any animals, because of the pressure it takes to pump the blood to the top of the head. So they came to us to sort of expand the park, and also it's not to give them a better home, but just to move them out of the group that they were in. So as I said, they came from Woburn, which is one of the largest herds, I think, definitely in the UK or possibly Europe. And when you have males in that herd mixed with the females, they get to a certain age where they just need to move on. In the wild, they would move out. So we're just sort of facilitating that sort of normal behaviour. So like I say, it's not that they were going to a better home, it's just they were going to a new home. They were getting kicked out by mum and dad. Hi to Sol and Ryan. Hi Scarlett and Jacob. So yeah, they go outside whenever they want. At the moment, they're not. They don't really like the cold. So it's quite cold and windy outside, which is why we're indoors. Hi, Oliver, Toby and Luke. So yeah, so as I said about so entertainment or enrichment, at the moment where they're still getting used to a new routine, they're getting training, a lot of interaction, a lot of different food items. Their days are quite busy anyway, but we do have a few little toys and things for them as well. So I've got plenty of things to keep them entertained. Hi Ryan. Hi Brandon. So the name Rothschild comes from, I can't remember his full name. I don't know if it's the guy who discovered them, or yeah. So this subspecies,
Was it Walter?
I think it might be.
Walter Riley Rothschild or something? It was who discovered them.
Yeah, so they're named after the biologist who first described them. So yeah, their skin patterns do differ between different species. And these guys came from Woburn Safari. So hi Evelyn, Arwen, Elijah and Malia, whose mummy is apparently the crazy giraffe lady. So yeah, so we are already in the process of planning how we will reopen the park. So we are giving that a lot of thought at the moment. So we'll see what we'll let you know closer to the time, because obviously there's going to be potentially restrictions which the government put on us as well. So we can just do, we can't put sort of solid plans into place just yet. They are sort of quite fluid at the moment. So obviously with the government, they are helping us a little bit in terms of the staff costs. So we are taking advantage of the staff furlough scheme, which has given us help, especially with the people who work in sort of our front of house and our catering. It just means that they will have a job when they come back to, and that we can still keep supporting those. Which one of them is the cheekiest?
Probably Robin.
Robin.
He's very inquisitive and nosy, you see. So when we're in here cleaning, he does like to see what's going on.
Oh, yeah. So hi Henry, Lily and Willow, and Ollie. So they do drink water. So we've got waters in each of the. So there's the bedroom stalls, as we call them. And then there's two over there as well, and then there's water outside. And then the animal which they live with is the blesbok. So he's called Jerky. He's outside at the moment. He doesn't really come in here. Hi Casey and Lola. I was hoping to be able to do the talk from outside so we can talk about him as well. But like I said, it's so windy out there, I don't think you would have heard Matt at all. Hi Lexi and Lewis. Hi Rudy and... Oh, no. Hi Rudy and Robin. Right. Hello guys. So that's from Eva. So at the moment the training's really simple, and it is just about moving them around the enclosure, getting them to go where we want them to go, and getting them used to going into those stalls, for example, or going outdoors for when it's time to clean them, or coming back in for food. So that's the extent of the training at the moment. But eventually we will also do training to do health checks, and in particular do foot maintenance as well. And also we've got a set of scales down there in one of those areas which will get them to stand on to be weighed. So no tricks or anything like that. It's is literally just about being able to move them safely and have a good close look at them. Hi Evelyn. Who's the fussiest? I think they're not. They're getting better, aren't they?
We've got a fussy one at the moment. They both eat their food. So at the moment they're being good boys. So no fussy boys here just yet.
Yeah. So I do have a Ruedi to say hello to. And then Caius, Oscar. Oh, got someone watching at RAF Benson. So Daddy's been working hard. Thanks for joining us. Hi Theo and Elizabeth. Yeah, so part of the training that we'll be doing is target training, but at the moment we are also trying to use cues to get them to move around. Although they weren't too frightened when they first arrived, they were a little bit nervous coming out because obviously it wasn't too long a drive down, but it was still very strange for them. But no, they've settled in really well. So yeah, so we've got specialist vets who are contracted with us. So they are from Burnham House Vets. So they've got a few vets practices, and they've got a few vets there who specialise in zoo animals. So they do a really good job with us. Hi Blue. So yeah, so they are Ruedi and Robin. So that's Ruedi who's at the front there chewing, and Robin at the back. No, we don't separate them at all. Sometimes in some zoos, especially if you've got a mixed sex group, they will separate them at night, or also if you've got a female who's expecting a baby, they would usually get separated off. But with these two guys, they don't need to be separated at night. Their transport was essentially a massive horse box, but it had a hydraulic roof, so that when you put the giraffes in and out, you can raise that roof up, which lets them go in a little bit easier, so that they're not too worried about sort of ducking their head down. And then it does lower down. Because of what size they are, even with it lowered down, they could still stand all the way up without moving their neck at all. But it's just a safe way to move them. Nice, Bud. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And obviously we all appreciate your work as a paramedic as well. Absolutely brilliant the work you're doing. Hi Avery, hi Harley and Theo. So yeah, so they were bred at Woburn Safari. So they're zoo bred, they're not rescue or anything like that. They are part of the breeding program. So target training is a way of training them to, rather than following just a command or just following you, you'll have a specific item. It can be anything, but it's usually a ball on the end of a stick, or a stick with some tape around the end or something like that, which they would recognize that if you've got that, that is where they would want to go to. So a similar thing is something we do with our chimps, which is called station training, where you give them a hard target to hold on to. Or sometimes, like with our otters, they have a target which they have to touch. So that's what a target is. So it's basically just, and it can be anything, but it's usually, like I said, a ball on the end of a stick or a pole or so. So glad you could make it, Alice. So it sounds we've got a lot of people from the NHS and pharmacies and things in today. So thank you all for your work. Can you get conjoined animals? Yes, you can. I don't know about giraffes, anything like that, but I know there's a case that's been going around recently. It's quite an old one, but it's had a lot of attention in the last few days of some conjoined gorilla twins, and that was from, I think that might be even 8 years or so old, but that's going around on Facebook at the moment. So it does happen sometimes. Also, we don't know about it usually in the wild, especially in the wild. A lot of them, they don't usually survive. It's fairly common in reptiles, especially snakes and bearded dragons and things. It does happen. I'm guessing that question came from because of how they stood. Hi, Olivia. How old did you say they get in the wild?
25.
So they get up to about 25. Yeah, they are still tiny. Hi, Eva. I would love koalas. They're one of my favourite animals. I've had the joy of working with them in Australia, although I also had the joy of chopping down their eucalyptus browse in 30-degree heat, which wasn't all that great. But no, I would love to have them, but there's no plans as of yet. Hi, Sophia. All right. So it looks like they're not going to come up. How old is it before they become independent from their mums?
So it'll be normally about 4 years old that they get sort of moved on from the herd. So they're in the wild, they'd leave the herd about 4 years old. In terms of eating their own food, it'll be sort of 18 months.
Cool. Do you have to? So at our park, when we bring new keepers in, we have a practical part to the interview, and also we do look for certain qualifications. It doesn't necessarily have to be university level, even college level is fine, but the most important thing is experience. And a lot of keepers here, they'll get the experience here as well. So when you start, if for example you haven't worked very much with primates, but you get a job on the primate section, you would start with some of the smaller primates, and then maybe lemurs and things like that, before you then slowly work your way up to the great apes. There are just some animals, obviously, that are a little bit more difficult to look after, and you need a little bit more experience when it comes to locking and safety equipment and things like that. So yeah, a lot of people keep zebra alongside giraffes. That's quite a common one to have. They're coming up to 3 years old, these two. So hi, Freya. All right, so I think I'm going to let Matt get back to his work, and I need to go and do some work with filming some great apes for you. So later on in the week, we've got a pre-recorded video coming for you with the great apes. So I'm going to go and see those guys over there. I don't know if you can see that little smudge in the middle there is Jin, the orangutan. So I'm going to go do a video with those guys and with the chimps. So that will be with you at the end of the week. So I've got hi to Ruedi from his NAM. Right, and we will see you again. I think tomorrow I've got one of our tours around the park. So come and join us for that if you want, and have a little wander around the park. Put some comments in below here if there's anything in particular you want to see tomorrow, and I'll see what I can do for you. So yesterday I forgot to give him a chance to say goodbye. So it's goodbye from me.
See you guys later.
And goodbye from Matt. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all those stars. Really, really, really appreciated it. And I will go back and see if I need to answer any more questions for you. See you tomorrow.